Well, this week we're talking about Genesis chapter 2. I know that it's kind of slow going through this book of Genesis, but there's a lot of little things that you kind of miss if you just read over it. And so that's one of the cool things about the Bible is that when you take time to actually look at it and study, it creates a lot of questions and it also gives you a lot of answers. So that's what we hope that we're doing. And this week we're talking about what good relationships are. Like, what does a healthy relationship look like? And so in Genesis chapter 2, it's repeating some of the stuff that happened in Genesis chapter 1, but with an emphasis on relationships. It's talking about our relationship with God, our relationship with ourselves, and then our relationship with our significant other. And so it brings up lots of questions and lots of hot topics. A lot of the questions that you guys asked a long time ago were about sexual preference, sexual identity, gay marriage, and that kind of stuff. So this is a week that we're going to be talking about that. On Sunday, we'll focus a lot on the rest too, because day 7 of the creation story happens actually at the beginning of chapter 2, that God rested on the 7th day. And so after that, you see Adam and then his wife Eve, and naming all the animals, and then God joining them together. And it says that they were joined in one flesh. And so the idea that they were joined in one flesh means that they were married. So with that being said, let's talk about sexuality. Let's talk about marriage. Easy topics to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So how many different kinds of sexualities are there that you know of?
There's lesbian, bisexual, there's gay, and there's queer. And there's questioning just got added.
Yeah. Did you say transgender?
Well, is that like a gender or is that actual sexuality?
Well, it's kind of like an umbrella term that's used for gender identity, which we talked about last week. But I think transgender would be like the expression of that identity. Do you feel that people are accepted or rejected based off of their sexuality?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes they're accepted, but most of the time, well, not most of the time, some of the time they're rejected.
Because I heard of this one time where there's this 2 gay men getting married, and they went to a wedding cake store, and the person there would not make a wedding cake for them because they were 2 gay men getting married.
No, it's not nice.
Yeah, well, the guy was claiming religious liberty. He's saying this is against my beliefs to support this. And so that's kind of a different question of like, what do we have the right with free speech to like actually do? And so that's an interesting question that we can tackle another time. But the idea of the 2 guys getting married is a little bit closer to what we're focusing on today. When I was a kid, like it really was kind of just like, you're just gay, like you're just one thing. And so over the last 20 years or so, there's been this evolution of all these other different sexual identities. So do you see sexuality evolving in society through time and changing?
I feel like new things are getting added to the LGBTQ. Because like I feel like there's like new things, like new sexualities are coming out a lot. Like people are, well, not really making up sexualities, but are like finding new sexualities to put into the LGBTQ plus.
Well, the passage that we're looking at in Genesis 2 this week, like I said, it's about 2 becoming one flesh. And so God designing what marriage is and what sex is, and those 2 people coming together. And so sexuality is defined biblically by a man and a woman sharing that sexual relationship together for the greater purpose of being fruitful, multiplying, and filling the earth. And so this actually, it doesn't come out and say it, but Genesis chapter 2 is about marriage too, and the idea of God joining people together. So what do you guys think the point of marriage is?
Well, like from last week, what we read, it's like God said, be fruitful and multiply. So I think basically is to like reproduce and be like more people on the earth. I feel like that's basically what marriage is. Well, not like the only thing, but like the main reason. Because I know some people get married but will never have kids and just adopt. So
Yeah, and marriage differs in cultures. I mean, I think there's some countries where you can sign like a marriage contract where like you're only married for a certain amount of years or something like that. But Haley, what do you think marriage should be about?
I don't really know. Every single time I think of marriage, I think of like a Disney movie where it's like they live happy ever after at the end of the movie. Like that's just really all I think of it.
Yeah. So do you feel like that captures the point of marriage, or is marriage something else?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You kind of feel like Elsa in Frozen. You're just like, you can't just like marry somebody that you just met.
Yeah.
Well, of course you can.
So why can't you marry somebody you just met? Besides
Because
that
you
haven't
they
gotten to
secretly
know
might
them
be
yet.
like a bad guy or something.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
think that's kind of weird. Because if you just met somebody, they might like start changing. Like the more you talk to them, because like I know for me, when I first meet people, I'm completely quiet, but then I'll get very loud and obnoxious. Like when I start getting comfortable with you. So like if you get like married to them when you first met them, like maybe then you'll see like their real personality, and you're like, I don't really want to be marrying this guy anymore. So and also like that's kind of it can lead to bad things. Like if they
Like,
want to get married right off the bat, like because I know it's like well, like sex trafficking, that thing that also happens. Like people get married to the person they just met, and then that happens. So I think that can also lead to that.
Yeah, it's scary.
What
What do you
did I
think
say?
like
Oh,
what do you think the main picture of marriage is that you see on TV or in movies? Like Haley kind of talked about the cartoons. What's like the main image that you see?
Kind of love. Because
to
like
live together forever.
there's love, and then there's some parts where it's like there's hardships that you have to go through together in
Mhm.
some TV shows.
like trust.
So yeah.
Good answer.
Yes.
I feel like if you don't trust your spouse, that's kind of not really a good relationship.
Yeah. I think any relationship is built on trust. And you actually see that a lot in Genesis chapter 2. All the relationships that God kind of makes is based off of trust. Like the relationship between us and God is based off of trust, and marriage relationship. And we know from the New Testament that it's supposed to be a picture of Christ's love for the church. And so marriage represents more than just like a crush that you want to like spend the rest of your life with. But do you feel like marriage kind of just gets like minimalized or reduced down to that idea a lot?
Yeah,
Yeah.
mainly, yeah.
Like, would you say that you see more of that on social media, or like you would see more of like the actual idea of marriage on social media?
Right now, I kind of think like teenagers now are getting more desperate. It's like they're just starting to date anybody because they just want that certain someone in their life because they feel like it's wrong if they don't have like a boyfriend or girlfriend. Like a lot of the people I follow on Snapchat at least, they like always post on their Snapchat saying how single they are and how much it sucks.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've been single my whole life and it doesn't suck that bad.
Yeah. And the Bible actually says too that like singleness could be a blessing too. So even if you like never get married, there's awesome things that you can still do. Like the
Yeah, you
point,
could. You don't have to share your Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah.
you don't have to
You
share
can
your
have a whole
Sour
bed
Patch
to
Kids.
yourself.
I don't have to share my chicken nuggets with other people.
Yeah. Get your own Dino chicken nuggets, get your own Sour Patch Kids, get a whole bathroom to yourself and a whole bed.
Oh
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
And
bed.
then
Mommy chicken nugget.
the phrase love is love is out there. So again, it kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, where feelings are the basis for decisions that people make. And so like last week, we talked about how if people feel like they're a gender, then society says that they are. And so the same goes for love, that if they feel like they're in love with someone, society says that that's a valid relationship. And so for you guys, do you feel like it's okay if two people love each other, even if they're the same sex, or if they identify as different sexual identifications? Is it okay for them to get married? Do you have problems with that? Or do you feel like it's weird that people have problems with that?
I don't
I
believe
think
it's right.
I don't mind it. I don't think it's right, but they can do what they want.
Well, I mean, legally they can do what they want because it
Yeah.
is legal. And so
Yeah.
Getting married is a huge step in like in a relationship because it's hard because if you say yes to the person, then most likely you're gonna spend the rest of your life with them. So it's kind of a huge step in your relationship. It's like I feel like if two men or two women or whatever other gender want to get married, I wouldn't believe it's right in my opinion, but there's nothing that's stopping them from doing it.
Yeah.
I think they can. And I agree with it.
yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot more we could say, and obviously we want you guys to jump in on the comments or make some conversations happen in person. But for today, we'll probably just call it a day and know that on Sunday we'll have lots of conversations about this. So until next time, we're gonna wave to you and say bye-bye.
Adios.
Grilled cheese.
muchachos.